In the last video, I showed you that Gemini 3.1 Pro has arrived to compete at the highest level of artificial intelligence. But now the question is different. How far can it really go? I went after the craziest prompts I found on the internet, like reasoning tests, complex technical simulations, and creative challenges. And I threw all of that at Gemini 3.1 Pro. No simple requests, no basic tasks. The idea was to push the model to its limit. And if it's really at the level of the most advanced models on the market, it needs to prove that in practice. Solving difficult problems, crafting in-depth answers, and delivering the quality we expect. So today, you'll see Gemini 3.1 Pro being tested with prompts that a lot of AIs simply can't handle. But before that, give us some support and subscribe to the channel. And to help even more, just click the notification bell so you'll know when there's new content. If you want to give us some extra support, just click the join button. Deal? So let's get to the video. But before that, let me tell you about Hashtag's Power BI Intensive course. This is a 4-day event where you will learn how to create 4 complete projects in Power BI, showing you in practice how to use this tool to stand out in the job market. Power BI is the fastest growing tool in companies nowadays because it helps to analyze data and make strategic decisions. And the best part is you can use it in any field. In other words, this skill can make you stand out both in your company and in selection processes. And look, the event is 100% free and has no prerequisites. Everything is taught from scratch, step by step, and in a very clear way. You will build sales, production, human resources, and financial dashboards with materials to practice and a complete workbook. If you want to master Power BI and boost your career, take note. The next edition takes place from February 23rd to 26th, and anyone can participate. Just secure your spot on the official website. The link is in the description of this video, or you can just scan the QR code that's showing up here on the screen. So hurry up and take advantage of this opportunity to join Hashtag's Power BI Intensive course. Well guys, today I want to show you what Gemini 3.1 Pro Preview is really capable of. But before that, I also wanted to show you that this new model is already available here inside Anti-Gravity. So if you use this IDE, notice that the newest Google model is already available for you to use. So, for those who work with this, it's really handy because you have the updated model working directly in Google's IDE. Got it? So let's go. I'll show you now what I managed to create with Gemini 3.1 Pro starting here with this flight simulator. I used a really simple prompt asking it to give me an HTML code, and this was the result. To use it, just click on takeoff. Notice that I have sound effects. Then with Shift, I accelerate. With the arrow keys, I take off. With Ctrl, I decrease the speed. I can also control it with the arrow keys. Hello? A very good speed. Lower it. It turned red. I'm going to lower it here. Now I'm going to try to hit an obstacle just to see if this is really working perfectly. Done! My plane crashed. Now I can try again. So the dynamics, the physics, the rendering here worked perfectly. That's exactly what I asked for, and that's what it delivered to me. Then I also asked it to create a version of the Space Invaders game, once again with a prompt. Super simple, just a single line, and this was the result. Once again, I have sound effects here. I have the barriers here, just like in the original game. Look, the little spaceship is flying across up there. I couldn't hit it. But notice that the aliens are coming down. I'm going to let them hit me here just to see what happens. Look at that. I already lost my life here. So, it's really cool because of the game's dynamics. It's very similar to Atari's. And I had never managed to do this with any other artificial intelligence. There was always something missing. Look, I destroyed the little spaceship there. And it increased my points, so it's perfect. Everything is working just right, just the way I asked with a single prompt. Now in this other example here, I used a different prompt, a much more elaborate one that I found on the internet. So here I ask it to create a website. I give it this image as a reference. It should get it from one splash. And in the end, it gave me this result. First it was in English, then I just asked it to translate the page into Portuguese. And look how it turned out. It's really impressive. because I have animations working perfectly inside my page. As you can see here, I'm not doing anything with the mouse. And then the animation happens here completely automatically. Now this part here turned out really interesting because these cards, they appear here fully animated. Look how cool this turned out. So if you try to do this manually, you're going to waste a lot of time. And here, with just this well-crafted prompt, where I asked it to use exactly the color palette I wanted, I specified what the animations would be, how they should behave when you hover the mouse over them. And this really happened in just a minute and a half. So it gave me all of this working perfectly in less than 2 minutes, which is really cool. Because before, we used to ask it to create a landing page, for example, and the result was very generic. There was nothing specific about it, but that's not the case here. Since I specified which image it should use, the animations, the type of interface I wanted, it understood my prompt perfectly and gave me this result. That's why the prompt you enter here is very important, because sometimes we use a very simple prompt and don't get a result like this. So, if you don't know how to write a prompt, ask any AI to do it for you. Put in the main idea, ask it to write, and then you'll definitely get a result. Similar to this one here, which in my opinion is one of the coolest I've ever managed to get in the demonstrations I've done on the channel. Now everyone is commenting on X about the capabilities of Gemini 3.1 Pro. In creating SVGs, static or animated. This one here is static. I asked it to create the image of an Old West town, and that's exactly what it generated. I have my town here, all stylized. Here is the sunrise or the sunset, and then I have the text here. Look how interesting. Store, bank, saloon, and sheriff. Everything just the way I asked. And notice once again, this was achieved with this simple prompt here written in English. But if you write it in Portuguese, there's no problem at all. It will understand. And it will give you a result very similar to this one. Now, this other example here is amazing. Why? I asked it to create an animation where I could simulate a four-way intersection, and that's exactly what it gave me. And here's the key detail. Everything works automatically. I don't interact with it at all. The car gets to the corner, stops, observes, and only crosses the intersection if the way is clear. So this happens completely autonomously. The only thing I can interact with is the control panel, where I can increase the number of vehicles. I'll set it to 30 here. Notice that I have a much higher flow of vehicles here, but accidents don't happen. Whenever a car gets to the corner, it stops and observes. If no other car is trying to cross the intersection, then it goes ahead. Now in this other prompt here, which I also found on the internet, I asked it to create a photorealistic 3D simulation of the ocean. And this was the result it gave me. Look at the quality of this. I'll even click here so we can share it just to see it in full screen. It's really impressive because I have here the waves moving, the reflection of the sun hitting the waves, and then I have this more shaded area. I've already tried using a similar prompt in other artificial intelligences, and the result didn't even come close to this. So here we can really notice the difference. The power of Gemini 3.1 Pro, how advanced it is, and what it can really deliver. In this other example here, I did the following. I had this PDF file here talking about the expansion of electric vehicles in Brazil, challenges and opportunities in the context of public policies and the automotive market. I uploaded this file here and asked the following. Use the attached document as a basis to create a website containing the main information about the topic. Use modern colors and a UI inspired by technology. Insert transitions and responsive menus. Add other pages if necessary so that no relevant information is missing. Build a modern, clean, and tasteful look. And this was the result that Gemini 3.1 Pro gave me. Look how cool it is. The expansion of electric vehicles in Brazil. Here you have a little animation to scroll down and explore the data. Everything is available here with interactive buttons. Then, when I scroll down, he also added interactive charts for me here. Based on that PDF file I uploaded here, notice that I have the pie chart is distorted here. Not exactly a pie, right? It's more of a responsive circle here. And here, everything is working properly too, with the numbers down here. And then, look, public policies and taxation, end of federal exemption. And then he adds here as well, overview of the regional IPVA in 2025. And then he added here the evolution of infrastructure. He created an SVG here to illustrate, and here he included the numbers. Really impressive, because you can use this for any type of application. You upload a document here, it can be a PDF, it can be a table, it can be a Word document, it doesn't matter. You can ask Gemini to interpret these files, and then turn them into a website like this one. You can share it with whoever you want. Then, in this more complex prompt, I asked the following. Create a high-fidelity, enterprise-standard React landing page clone for Neuron. The aesthetics should follow the technical intelligence concept. A fusion between editorial typography, mode A, and precision instrument interface, mode B. This prompt here is also quite complex. It has all the color palette guidelines here. Obviously, I got this prompt from the internet, but I asked to have it translated into Portuguese, and this was the result it gave me. Automate the entire life cycle, the first cognitive engine that understands your code base as deeply as you do. Write, refactor, and deploy without hesitation. Here, he gave me an example where I can approve or review. Scrolling down here, everything you need, nothing more. He made this animation here, which is really cool. AI autocomplete. Just press enter, analyze, 4 recent commits. View on GitHub. New command. Scrolling down here. The AI that thinks. Notice that I have a variation of fonts here. Then he added this other animation here. Live system. Obviously, this is a simulation. Architecture blueprint. Computing layer. Isolated context. Neural index. Edge deployment. And here he put a fictional user's opinion. The neuron acts as the chief engineer who never sleeps. And here I get a speed increase. Critical bugs released. So this is a very well-made front-end that he delivered to me with a complex prompt. But the result was very interesting. Because everything is working perfectly, even though I used a more complex prompt here. This result was achieved in a single attempt, so I wanted to leave this for you here at the end. A simulation of Windows that I asked him to create, and see how it turned out. Here I have my command prompt, so I just need to click, I can type. He even copied my username here, so everything is just right, working perfectly. I can minimize, maximize. Full screen. And close, perfect, here in the file manager, desktop. Documents, downloads, pictures, paint. Let's see if I can draw. Look, drawing perfectly, it changes the colors. Increase the brush size here. It also increases. I can erase. Perfect, working exactly as it should. If I click here on the trash can, I can erase my drawing. And here in settings, I can choose a light theme. Dark theme. So everything is working correctly. Here it shows the temperature. Sunny day, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And here in the corner, I have the date and time. And the icons here for battery, volume, and Wi-Fi. In other words, it turned out really cool. And this result here was achieved with this prompt here, which is a little more complex, that I asked Gemini itself to create for me. So I created my prompt here, and from this prompt, I asked it to deliver this application here, which is working perfectly. So guys, give it a try. These are just a few examples of the power and capability of Gemini 3.1 Pro. Probably in the next few days, we're going to see some really cool things being created with this new model, which people are saying is the AI, to beat in 2026. So, what did you think of these tests? Do you think the other AIs we have on the market today can handle these tasks? Let me know in the comments, okay? I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.